welcome on in to another episode of Getting Wild with Terry and Friends. I'm Terry, that's Tim, Bryant down below, and we are ready to break down some baseball here, and then we'll see what happens with the hockey portion. But we got some baseball games and some hockey games to break down, and we'll jump right on into it with the first game. The Blue Jays minus 140 are in St. Louis, plus 120. The total is 7.5 in this one. The Cardinals, Blue Jays went to extra innings yesterday. The Cardinals had bases loaded, 2 outs. It was a strike away from getting out of it, but unfortunately, Goldschmidt hit a home run, and that was all she wrote for that game. Now, the next day, the Blue Jays are big favorites here. Semi-big favorites here in St. Louis in this one. And that's basically because of the pitchers. The Jays have a pretty big pitching advantage here. Gosman, he has been really good to start the season. Not as of late, kind of not as good as he was in the first few games, but the Jays as a team haven't been as good as of late. Their offense has kind of disappeared. Everyone except for Santiago Espinal has kind of been a little inconsistent. He has been continued his hitting streak. On the other side for the Cardinals, it is Hicks, right? Sorry, my computer's frozen.
Yes, it's Jordan Hicks tonight.
Yeah, he hasn't been. Here it is. He's 1-3, 4.21 ERA. Right-handed pitcher. 2 earned runs in his last game in 4 innings. 3 earned runs in the game before that. 2 earned runs in the game before that. Goes about 4 or 5 innings. Gives about 2 or 3 home runs, 2 or 3 walks, and 3 to 5 strikeouts. He's pretty consistent in what he's doing, and that's giving up a few runs. Gosman on the other side, I kind of expect not a bounce back performance because he's in his last 2 games, which were both losses. 7 hits, 2 earned runs against Seattle, 5 hits, 3 earned runs against Tampa Bay, 1 walk per start. He hasn't necessarily been bad. It's kind of just been the Blue Jays around him. But I think this is a good spot for them. So I have the Jays money line in a parlay, which I'll give out afterwards. Tim, Blue Jays and Cardinals, what do you think here?
Yeah, we saw yesterday's game. I kind of threw the Cardinal bet away after they kind of let 2 bases loaded walks in that 7th inning. Little did I know they were going to get that back. Yep, had to be first. Little did I know they were going to get that back, and then the big grand slam last night kind of helped the run line in that one. This game, and if it wasn't for that grand slam last night, there would be a humongous trend to jump on. The Toronto Blue Jays have gone under an 8 out of their last 10. They have been a heavy under team because their pitching has been good. I'll give Toronto credit where it's due. Their pitching has been quite solid lately, minus last night, but most of that off of 1 swing. I'm not gonna put that one on them. And St. Louis has actually been quite solid pitching lately too. Jordan Hicks, I know a lot of people are just going to scan over his numbers, see an over 4 ERA, a 1-3 record. He hasn't been horrible. He's just been an extra arm. He's been exactly the role that he's supposed to in this Cardinals team. And I would kind of lean towards the under in this game. I like Kevin Gosman. He's been pitching quite well this year to a 2.52 ERA in his 50 innings pitch. The big stat that I love is his 57 strikeouts to 3 walks. That's 19 strikeouts per walk. And those numbers are sick. So this is a team that I will eventually expect when it gets warmer for this Toronto team to actually start hitting. They're averaging about 3.57 runs a game, which is 26th in the majors. bottom 5 for offense, and an offense that we were expecting to be absolutely explosive, and they just have not been there. Eventually they will be, and when they do, this team's going to start winning. For this one, it'd be a lean towards the under, a lean towards the Cardinals at plus money, but nothing that I put my money on it in general for this one.
All right. Bryant, Blue Jays and Cardinals. What do you think here?
Yeah. For me, guys, it's pretty simple tonight. Like Tim said, I think if the Blue Jays had won the game last night, I feel like this might have been a nice little spot for the Cardinals to bounce back. But instead, I'm gonna zigzag and go with the Blue Jays tonight after losing that game. They had a chance to win it. They were up late in the later third of the game. They just didn't come through when it mattered most. And ultimately, I think Paul Goldschmidt's hot bat was the difference ultimately in the game. But Goldschmidt's on the mound. You guys have mentioned all of his pitching numbers, which I think are exceptional. If there's one thing I had to nitpick about him, it seems like all of his hits that he gives up are with guys on base, which has kind of been where he doesn't look as dominant as he did in the first few starts. It's just largely because the hits that he's given up are when guys are on base, and that never ends well. But for me, I gotta go to the Blue Jays tonight. Minus 140 is still a reasonable price considering the pitcher. You're not going to get too much of a better price than this considering the teams and how fairly equal they are as a whole. So minus 140 with Kevin Gausman is okay with me. So I can get behind that on the money line. That's what I'm going to do. I saw somewhere and someone who mentioned this, but Goldschmidt's RBIs through this last 7 games were through the roof. So maybe like a Paul Goldschmidt total base prop. If you can get plus money in some way or shape or form on it, or a Paul Goldschmidt RBI would be something to look at. And maybe even fade Arenado, who's batting 214 over his last 5 or so games. Maybe throw an under total base prop there as well. Those are just some things that I'm looking at. I haven't officially decided what I'm going to do in that regard, but I'm definitely locking in the Toronto Blue Jays money line for the night.
Real quick, I did pull up Paul Goldschmidt's numbers. 14 RBIs in his last 8 games.
Yes. So back to what I was saying. Yeah, that's definitely a move then. If the Cardinals are going to score tonight, it feels like it's going to be Goldschmidt doing it.
All right. We'll move on to the second game here. The Texas Rangers plus 140 are in LA facing the Angels minus 160, a total of 8 in this one. I like the Angels team total over. I want to back Syndergaard here. He was fantastic all year, basically until his last game against Texas, where he gave up 4 runs and was gone in less than an inning. I want to back him to bounce back, but I think I'm just going to take the Angels bats to get some runs and score some runs for me here. Also with the price, Angels minus 160. I think it's better here. I think the Angels will get some runs against Dunning. He hasn't really been anything special. In his last 3 games, 2 earned runs against this Angels team, 5 earned runs against Boston, 1 earned run against the Yankees. I think he's going to get hit here. And I think I would recommend the Angels to win. I'm not betting it. But if you were looking for a side, I would say go with Angels. But I'll just take the team total over here. Tim, Rangers and Angels, what do you think here?
Yeah, it sounds really one that I really didn't get a good feeling on. Syndergaard, you mentioned he got slammed his last time out. I remember they went up 3-0, thinking, "Oh, that looks good for our run line so far," and then and it ended up being 6-3 Texas at the end of the first. Oh, well, never mind then. So he's been a little bit rough the last little bit. He has had a decent season, though. On the opposite side, Dane Dunning, he had a rough start out his last time. Other than that, he's been kind of solid this year for this Texas side. I feel like this could be a bounce back spot for Syndergaard. I think Dane Dunning is an actual decent pitcher. I would kind of lean towards the under in this game. Main reason why is we're getting a Texas team that's gone under in 4 straight games, so their offense just has not been there. And then the Angels have actually kind of been struggling lately. They've gone under in 2 out of their last 3. Their offense is starting to slow down just a tad as well. It would be a lean towards the under, especially in LA right now. I feel like LA is not a good hitter ballpark, so I'm going to go towards the under in this game. Not enough for me to want to go put my money on it, but that's kind of where I would go in that one.
All right. Bryant, Rangers and Angels. What do you think here?
Okay, thank you.
I brought you in. You're good.
Yeah. For me, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go opposite of Tim in regards to the total here. I can't get behind Noah after what he did to us. You and I were both on that game.
Yep.
You and I were both on that game, Terry, and we were so excited. We both put some pretty significant amount of units on that game, and it looked so promising. That first inning or first half inning, and then it exploded. So because of that, I'm still kind of upset about it. So the play for me tonight is going to be on the Angels team total over 4.5. Largely because the Angels, they hit really well at home. They have a 771 OPS at home, compared to like a OPS that's like almost like 100 points lower on the road. So for me, that's pretty much where I feel the most comfortable. I like this Angels offense. Tim mentioned that they are slowing down. While I do agree, ultimately I think that this seems like a good little spot, a revenge game for the entire Angels roster, bullpen, starting pitcher, the offense as well. So, and you're at home, so let's back the Angels here on the team total to get 5 runs and get out of there. I can get a pretty good price anywhere, somewhere floating probably between -120 and like -130. And then I also think that the over is a good play for this game. I saw a trend where the over in this series over the last 9 games was 7-0-2, which means whatever the total was, it was either it would push there or it was going over. So I'm gonna hop on that, and I'm gonna go with the Angels Rangers over 8.5. So that way I don't feel bad if the Rangers repeat what they did literally last week. So,
all right. Yeah, the last game that was rough. But we'll move on here to the last game before we get to last pitch. The Mets plus 105 are in San Francisco, a -125, a total 7.5 here. This Mets team, I think I had 2 parlays yesterday with the Mets in it. I had the Mets first 5. I had the Mets full game. I'm not really quite sure why they were underdogs against a Giants team that's been losing. I get it. Cobb was on the mound, but the Mets hit righties, and that continued yesterday. The game was not really in doubt. It was at the beginning when the Giants got 2 runs, but as soon as the Mets scored in a bunch in that one inning, I was confident that they were going to win, and they did, which was awesome. Now we're going here in this one, Chris Bassett against Logan Webb. These are 2 really good pitchers, both righties on the mound. Both teams are pretty good against righties. The Mets obviously have a bit of an edge. And I think this is going to be a close game. But I like the value with the Mets again. I got them at plus 110. I think the hitting wise, they're the better team right now. Yes, the pitching might be close in this one, maybe even a slight advantage to the Giants. But I think the better hitting team is the Mets right now. I believe the Giants still have some injuries as well. So that seems to have affected them in their losing streak. But I like the Mets to keep on rolling on here. Tim, the Mets and the Giants, what do you think here?
Yes, I know I'm the Mets fan telling people to bet the Mets, but it's a good spot for it. Not the Dodgers. The Giants have lost now 5 straight games and 7 out of their last 9. I know that you get Logan Webb, who I think has won 17 straight home starts. Yeah, I really don't care. Chris Bassett is the big one in this one. 4-2, 2.77 ERA. That's fine and dandy. I'm more concerned about his road starts this year. 3-0 with a .51 ERA. He's been nothing short of dominant on the road so far this year. He's only allowed 10 hits on 1 earned run, 18 strikeouts in 17 and 2/3 innings. And he's pitching near where he used to pitch a bunch in Oakland. Right across the bay is where he used to pitch a bunch. So I think it's going to be a good thing for him going back out there. I think he gets another big start today. The Giants have just been struggling. They're a very streaky team. I want to back the Giants whenever they're winning, and you got to fade them when they're losing. Right now, they're losing a bunch, and they're going up against a good Mets team, trying to become the first team to hit 30 wins this year in the majors. And this is a dominant team Mets also 16-7 on the road. They've been fantastic on the road as also on at home, but they've been really good road team. I'm going to grab the Mets at plus money. I think Chris Bassett has the pitching advantage. Taking the Mets at plus money in this game.
I like it. Bryant, what do you think here, Mets and Giants?
I'm actually really highly conflicted about it. It's a game that I wanted to hear other people's opinions on as well, just to see what you guys were thinking. I really like Logan Webb. I've been a beneficiary of that Giants home win streak when Logan Webb is on the mound quite a bit, going back to even last year. But Tim, as he alluded to, the Giants they're playing bad baseball right now. And not only they're playing bad baseball, but they're playing baseball that really makes you kind of frustrated as a bettor. And I can only imagine what it looks like as a fan, because some of these games they're like right in, and they're just not able to finish. They can't come up with the big hit when they needed it. Against this weekend against the Padres, which ultimately led to them getting swept. And that, what's in saying all that, I feel like I gotta go with the Mets. You take that road record into account. I don't think there's a noticeable difference in terms of pitching quality right now between Bassett and Logan Webb, enough to say that one is definitively better than the other. Especially if you take out the fact that Logan Webb has won the Giants have won 17 straight home starts for Webb. Like, if you take that out the equation and just look at it, there's not a noticeable difference in terms of the pitch quality that you're getting from either one. And at that point, you got to go down the line and see, okay, well, what can separate them? The Mets have the better bullpen, and they have the better lineup. So, with all those factors taken into account, it's the Mets for me tonight. I think I'm going to play it safe, and I may just go on the Mets F5. But yeah, it's the Mets. Whether you do it on the money line or you do it F5, that's kind of it for me. Ultimately, I probably will just end up taking the Mets full game. But I know for a fact I'm locking in the Mets F5 money line for tonight.
All right. Yeah, the reason why I took them full game, not first 5, is because of Logan Webb. Just in case it is a pitcher's duel and it's a close game, I think it's possible the Giants maybe could have a lead early, but I think the Mets will win the game in the end. That's why I stayed off the first 5. But
yeah, I mean, that's valid. I can see that, which is why ultimately I think before the game starts, I think I'll probably just go ahead and just go full game.
Yeah.
just for the insurance as well. Which, I mean, it's insurance, but if it pays off and they win the F5 and they win the whole game, double up a little bit.
For sure. We'll go to last pitch before I move on to hockey here. And I'll go over everything I'm on here in the MLB. Game we didn't talk about, Miami. I'm on Miami first 5 plus a half, which I got at minus 115. It's Lopez. Not much else to say there. To get that plus a half at minus 115 was a good price for me, so I took that. Boston White Sox, I have the first 5 under 4, which I'm not overly confident in. I'll be honest. I'm not overly confident in it. Boston's been playing great as of late. Pavetta has been pitching very well as of late as well. I like the White Sox. I'm going to go with the under there. Angels team total, which we already went over. Arizona, first 5 minus a half, which I got at minus 125. Zach Allen on the mound. I think it's a great spot against a Kansas City team that's pretty bad right now. And that is it. My parlay is the Dodgers, LA Dodgers, Minnesota Twins, and Toronto Blue Jays, all on the money line, plus 247. And then I also have the same parlay with Houston as well, for plus 398. So those are my 2 parlays for the day. Tim, last pitch. What do you think here?
I like the over in the Cubs game. I think both pitchers get hit with Stroman and Molly. I'm backing Pablo Lopez whenever I can get him, especially at plus money. He's been nothing short of dominant this year. I grabbed him at like a plus 140 money line area. I went with the Boston Red Sox. They've won 5 straight. They're starting to get hot. Nick Pivetta is a solid pitcher. He's been pitching real well as of late. I like that one. I went with the under in the Arizona game because I was not backing the Diamondbacks at minus 200. I think that's ridiculous. And I'm not laying a run line because I don't trust their offense enough. I know it's Jonathan Heasley for Kansas City. I don't care. I'm going under in that game. And obviously, I took the Mets as well. I've been on the Dallas Mavericks the entire series. I went Golden State today to finish it out because Dallas has looked dead. I have a couple of the WNBA plays. You can go check those out. I talked about them on ESPN, and I'll talk about them on Game Time later. I grabbed the Hurricanes tonight as well.
All right. Bryant, last pitch. What do you think here?
Yeah. Aside from all the plays that we mentioned previously, I am on the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Mets. I'm gonna toss the Mets at 5 in there as well for a 3-team parlay. That's one. I wanted to get behind the Diamondbacks, but other than the under, I'm not really sure where the value lies because, like Tim said, I can't. There's no way I can back the Diamondbacks at that price. That someone should be fired for that. Whoever was making lines for all these books. But on top of that, I like the Mariners tonight against the Athletics. I think Kirby is a little bit more of a higher upside pitcher. He's got better stuff than Caprillion, who is someone I'm relatively familiar with. He was in the Yankees farm system before he eventually got traded to the A's. He hasn't looked too great since coming back from that injury. Kirby kept his team in the game against the Red Sox. Ultimately, he blew like a 4-run lead. And ultimately, the Red Sox, won that game. But I think he needed that. He needed a little trial by fire against a really solid hitting team to kind of learn and grow. So back at home, where he got his first career start at, he pitched really well there. I think it's a really good spot to back the Mariners on the F5 run line. I think they get the Caprillion early. And yeah, and my last play is I'm gonna hop on the Cubs tonight. I'm gonna hop on the Cubs on the run line. We got Marcus Stroman versus Tyler Mill. I like Stroh here. He's a good, tough pitcher. He'll keep him in the game. Ultimately, I think that the Cubs offense is just a little bit better, and I trust the Cubs bullpen a little bit more than I do the Reds. And that's kind of where I'm at with picks. I also have the Warriors to win the game tonight. I think the Mavs are they're walking corpses. As some of you guys might know, I live in the city of Dallas. There's no energy here, none. They're zapped. People are gonna go to the game, I'm sure, but I just feel like that Game 3 took the life out of everything. So I'll be on the Warriors tonight, and I'm gonna go with the Canes, even though I know that they haven't won on the road in the postseason. I think they finally bounce back and get a still a road game this postseason. And yeah, those are my picks.
All right. Are you both leaving now?
Yeah, I don't do hockey.
Yeah. Okay, Brian. If you want to type in your picks or send them to me,
yep,
for best bets and everything, you can type them in if you want.
Yep.
If not, then send them to me.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys later.
All right, man.
Good luck, everybody. See you Sabres for the Cup.
And welcome on in, DJ, for the hockey portion.
Yeah, need a bounce back after Florida last night, and I was like, I got to do a show. I got to do something. I gotta get going again. Yesterday sucked. I think everyone had Tampa but me, and I just sat there like watching Florida not being able to create like a really high quality offensive chance, and just punching holes in the wall and like 50 shots. It was great.
Yeah, I know like people were on the over too, and like it's just that was.
I felt I think the over was. I ended up putting a little bit on it, and I just picked something because I just was like, this Vasilevsky wall is going to break. I just like, I don't know. I thought he was pretty bad against Toronto, honestly. I mean, he had a great Game 7. Other than that, he was like incredibly average for 6 games. I just thought this narrative is just bad. And Vasilevsky's like, yeah, it's amazing. I'm actually going to shut them out on 49 shots. And I was like, whatever. So we don't have to recap too much. I'll let you, if you want to recap, we can, but.
Yeah. Hey, well, we'll move on to today. We got 2 pretty good games. I posted some polls earlier on the Getting Wild with Terry and Friends Twitter about these 2 games to get some people's opinions here. And the first game here, the Hurricanes -110 are in New York facing the Rangers -110, a total of 5.5. 42.4% people like the Rangers tonight, 33.7% like Carolina, 17.4% say take the under, and 6.5% say take the over. I'm on the Rangers tonight. I also lean towards the under, but at -130, I'm not really too excited to take an under at that price. But I do think the Rangers, this has been a home series. Even the Canes in the first round, that was a home series. I think a lot of people really like Carolina, and they're kind of overlooking the Rangers a little bit. My pre-series prediction, I did have the Rangers to win the series, and my prediction for the Cup is Rangers against Calgary. Not looking too good right now, I know, but I think the Rangers get the win here. I think it goes back to Carolina, and I think the Carolina probably wins that one. But I think for tonight, -110, I'm on the Rangers. DJ, Carolina, and New York, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most interesting thing I found, because I really dove into the numbers here, I'm not sure if you saw, but I had noticed, and others have noticed this too, that at MSG, there seems to be just a higher expected goals for both teams throughout the playoffs and throughout the entire regular season. So I went through all the numbers for everyone and went through all of the shot attempts and all of for the playoffs and all of the actual shots on goal for the entire series for the Rangers at home and away. There actually is a pretty significant increase in shot volume and really shots on goal comparatively to that shot volume, leading me to believe that either A, which is what I'm suspecting, is that the scorekeepers for the Rangers are more likely to award a shot then maybe, away scorekeepers are willing to afford a shot on net. Sometimes there's a lot of judgment calls to be made. So I do think that there's a little bit to that narrative. It's not quite enough to make me feel really good about it, because on the season, there was about 2.5 shots on goal per game more at home for the Rangers than away. While there's like 15 in the playoffs, I think there's some regression back to the mean there. Maybe in the playoffs, there is something to say that, the scorekeepers are being a little bit more, with the energy in the crowd and the Igor chants or whatever you want to say. I don't know if it's strong enough to make me really want to get crazy on it. But I do want to point that out, that even though this last game, there was a much higher expected goals, I don't know if it's completely indicative that the over is a lock here. And especially if you're betting the Rangers, you're probably more inclined to bet the under with it, just because Carolina's going to probably outshoot them. I think if you, ask 100 pretty good bettors in hockey, who's going to lead in shot share? It's probably the Hurricanes. They have the better goalie in New York. So I think those click together better. I think if you, again, minus 110 on the Hurricanes feels like a really good number. I don't know if I want to bet against Igor and just pray all night that they find a way to beat him, 2 or 3 times, especially with the way the Rangers changed the lines and were able to have success with more units than normal. They looked a lot better with Hedl, with Kreider and Zibanejad. That they really got that line going, and they were able to keep them away from the stall line. And they kind of forced Carolina to put the stall line out there just to take faceoffs as much as possible. I'm giving you way too much information to kind of get back to a couple of little points. I think number one, there really isn't a bad side here. I don't think you have to. I wouldn't get overboard here with saying that either side's a slam dunk. I also don't bet unders at minus 130. That just is never going to lead to EV positive results, because goals are pretty random, and trying to be a dead predictor on that, I don't think it's a good bet. So I think if you're betting the Rangers, you're probably not betting that over under unless if you want to take them together. And then I think you just rather just bet the Hurricanes than bet the over. Personally, it's like, I know the odds are a little better, but all right, I'm saying Bronte Igor. That's just incorrect. Gun to head, I take the Hurricanes just because I almost always take the team I think will have a higher expected goals and pray that goaltending doesn't burn me. I think that in general, best bets in this game. I had Svechnikov at minus 120 over 2.5. It's minus 150 now. Sorry, you got to jump on that early. Earlier in the day when they originally posted lines, there was only two minus shot bets. It was Kreider and Svechnikov. Those are the two guys that had 9 shot attempts last game, so it made some sense. I think minus 150 is fine for Svechnikov, but I don't think it's incredibly strong without the power play usage. I'd almost rather take Kreider at minus 130 because I think he is the rate shooter on that line. Those two are, I'd say, a little bit easier, a little bit more parlayable. And then if you want to get Galaxy Brain, Brady Shea over 2.5 plus 145. He's also shooting at a really, really high rate in this series. He had 5 shots on goal last game. And I think for almost plus 150, you're kind of saying, what are the odds he does this? I think it's a lot higher than that personally. He's just been a rate shooter his entire career from the point. I think that's about it. You could get into the point bets. I don't know if you have any that you have in mind, but I do think it's difficult because I don't think the over is incredibly strong.
Yeah, I did forget to mention, I think the reason why the odds are so close in this is because it's an incredibly close game. I am on the draw as well. I forgot to mention that, plus 320. I think we're going to get a close overtime game with the Rangers winning. And I do have 2 player point parlays, and I chose the same player in this game for both of them, and that is Zibanejad to get a point. I think if anyone on this Rangers team, and I think the Rangers are going to win, but if I think anybody is going to get a point in this, it's going to be the captain, because Zibanejad. So I have him to get a point with a Calgary player, and him to get a point with an Edmonton player, which we'll discuss.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, and I might end up mixing a couple more in. And then the last little thing I looked into that I thought was at least weird. It's a dead pick'em, but if you go to the team total goals, they have Carolina over 2.5 minus 110, and they have the Rangers over 2.5 minus 130. So it's like they don't believe these teams are going to score the same. So I think if you're in on Carolina, I'm just going to wait till the last minute. I'm going to wait until the absolute last minute to place my bet and hope that they actually shift the line correctly to be with what they're saying the total should be. If I was kind of looking at that, and I've never really seen that before in a pick'em where the lines aren't the same. So I'm going to wait until exactly, the last minute you can bet on that. And as soon as I see it, If it moves and we get a plus money Hurricanes, I'm going to bet that. But that's kind of my mentality here.
All right. We'll go on to the second game here. The Battle of Alberta. Calgary minus 105. Is at Edmonton minus 115. A total of 6.5 on this one. I will bring up the poll. It's pretty spread out here. 31.5% say to take the Flames. 22.5% say take the Oilers. 29.2% say take the over. And 16.9% say take the under. So we kind of had spread out opinion here in this one. I've been on the Flames all 3 games in the series. Obviously, I was really happy with the first game. Not so much the last 2, and especially not game 3. I was not impressed with Calgary's performance and with Edmonton's performance. So I am on the over 6.5 in this one. I just feel there's been so many goals. I feel like both teams are scoring right now. And I think it's kind of hard to take an under in this spot. So I do like the over 6.5, which I got at minus 105. And the players in my player point parlay for the Calgary one, I have Kachuk. So Zibanejad and Kachuk to get a point at plus 132. And then the Edmonton one, I have Zibanejad and Evander Kane to get a point at plus 148. So basically, I see a lot of goals in this one. I think the Flames do win, but based on the last 2 games, I think I'd much rather go with the over here than take a side, just because it's very possible that Edmonton comes out here and gets the win. So over for me in this one. And Toller is here. Welcome on in, Toller. We'll zip back quickly back to the first game here. Carolina Rangers minus 110 each way. What do you think here?
Right here is going to be a really hard place to pick a side for me. It's going to be a live bet when it comes to a side. I do like the under. Obviously, that's been playing out so far. These are the 2 most defensive teams left in the Stanley Cup playoffs, in my opinion. Rangers been playing good. Igor stepped up. Big game tonight. So I look for it to go under. My pregame bet for this, I think everybody knows. I even tweeted it out a little bit earlier. Canes to score first. It's been my bread and butter so far. We're just going to keep riding this one out. The importance of the first goal here for Carolina to stop their road wearies is pretty critical. So if they want to win tonight, I see them to press the gas early and hopefully get that first one in the first period.
All right. And then we'll come back to you here for the second game. DJ, Flames and Oilers. What do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I went with the over. I've been on the Oilers pretty heavy. The game 1, I faded it. Game 2, I got real bold. I went with the minus 1.5 Oilers on the road, and that worked out nicely. I'm higher on the Oilers than I think most people because I really believe in their top end offense, and I think they're just better defensively than people give them credit. Now the question is Mike Smith going to show up again and shut down the Flames? But what we noticed, at least in the, and this is something that obviously can change very easily. It's only, 1 game. McDavid's line was basically dead matched up as much as possible with the Lindholm, Tkachuk, Gaudreau line, as much as they could do it. And that makes me a little nervous about it. I still think Matt Tkachuk, like you said, for a point is a good bet because I just, it was decently even. It was more even than I thought it would be. I don't think that Evander Kane and Draisaitl offer a ton defensively, especially Draisaitl at this point with his injury. So I do think those lines are going to produce a lot of offense while they're on the ice either way, and they're going to see a lot of run in general. So I still like the over just fine because, again, Mike Smith is probably not going to save as much as he did last time. This game has had a higher expected goals than 6.5 every night, as high as about 8.5 and as low as about, I think, 6.8 expected goals in the 3 games. It's right around there. So the math is working out nicely. I don't think the goaltending is very strong. I'm going to go with the over. As far as shots are concerned, you could talk yourself into almost anyone. It's pretty easy to look at any of these game logs or any of these numbers. If you look at the 2 series and compare them, the top, I think 8 of the top 10 shot producers in the playoffs, just looking at these 2 games, come from Calgary and Edmonton. Makes sense. Hyman actually led them in shots last game. He was, I think if you're going to bet a power play point guy, it might be him because his line's a lot different than like McDavid and Draisaitl, but he's getting that like other side. It's like the left side in front of the net position. And I think that he could get one there. I just like Hyman in general as a rate shooter, but his line's a little bit tough. But I think if you're betting a guy that like over 5 and you want to get the most juice out of it, Hyman's the right guy. Maybe not over 2.5 minus 180. Evander Kane, easy play with McDavid and Draisaitl for a point. That's probably my bet of the night, honestly. Minus 160, and maybe not, but I think it's a really good bet because I don't think I said it, but it's Kane, Draisaitl, and McDavid 5-on-5.
Yeah, those three have absolutely dominated for Edmonton. Toller, Battle of Alberta, Flames and Oilers. What do you think here?
I have to go against DJ on this one. I think it's going to go under tonight. I think second game we saw Edmonton pair up Kane with McDavid and all them mid-game. Then third game it was clicking for them. Calgary was starting to get used to it, but they couldn't produce anything in their net and the other net for themselves. So it looked at a 4-1. I think if Calgary wants to win this game, they're going to have to make this game go under. They can't afford to go on a foot race with Edmonton because they can't keep up. I think depth-wise that Calgary has it, but in the end that might not matter if you can't stop that first line. If they do stop that first line, though, I don't see anybody really producing many goals for Edmonton either. So I'm backing the under on this one, and I'm also backing the Flames just because this is a spot where if they lose tonight, their chances of pulling out from the series are pretty slim to none. I know they'd be going back to Calgary, but again, it's like battering your next door neighbor. All the fans are still going to be there. It's not much of a difference for home ice. So anybody going down 3-1 in a series is statistically proven. It's like a 95% chance you're going on. So I'm going to back the Flames tonight, back against the wall. They have to win this. They did it back down in Dallas. I know this is a completely different beast, but they also know what they need to do to win tonight. Last time in Dallas, it was just they had to break Ottinger, and that's all they were trying to do. Now they know they got to stop that first line. So I'm hoping that they can get it done here because I need them to get all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals at least for some of my bets and my brackets. But emotions aside, just in the spot, I think Calgary's the better play here just because, like I said, if Edmonton wins tonight, it's pretty inevitable they're going to win the next game. So I'll just hammer in Edmonton next game.
All right. Yeah, the poll is pretty much split when it came to over-under Edmonton, Calgary. So we'll definitely see what happens here.
I also like 2 goalie props tonight. I like Markstrom props over 29.5, and I like Ranta's over 27.5. Both of them have hit, I think, 2 out of 3 games. And, I mean, Edmonton can pepper, and so can the Rangers. So,
all right. We'll get to best bets segment here. Let me bring it up. I was just typing in Bryant's here. So we'll start with dog of the day as we always do. For me, it's New York Mets. For Nick, it's New York Mets. Tim is taking the Boston Red Sox. Brian is also taking the New York Mets. And occupancy is taking Miami. DJ and Toller, the only dog you could take to can't take a dog today.
I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I'm going over to the hard top. I'm going to the basketball courts. I'm going to take Golden State tonight. I've seen freaking $500,000 bets all over the place tonight for the Dallas Mavericks, and I just don't like it.
Yeah, hey, I can't talk you off that one. They're leading 3-0 in the series, and even some Mavericks backers think that have backed them think they're going to win. So
Luka can't do it all. He's a beast, but he can't do it all.
Exactly. DJ can't really take a dog in the
I would be guessing completely. I just pull up the baseball quick and I'm like, I've watched a couple games and I'm like, I just
that's how I am.
No worries, that's why it's optional.
Yeah.
And then Alex says sorry, Toller, but Oilers tonight win. We'll see.
I really do think that it's the easiest game to talk yourself into anything, because we've watched both goalies absolutely fall on their face in one of 3 games. So like, if you really like one side, you're going to be really right if that goalie just face plants, and they just love to do it. So I don't know. That's why I honestly, I think if you're betting the under, it's either going to be the best feeling when, you know, both goalies show up and have a good game that they can have, or it's going to be the absolute worst feeling in the world when one of them face plants in the first period.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to over under. For me, I'm on a couple totals today, and I chose Calgary Edmonton over 6.5. Sorry, Toller. Just the way the offenses have gone, I think it could be 3-3 by the end of the second. I think we're going to get a ton of goals in this one, so I'll take the over there. Nick took Miami and Tampa Bay first 5 under 3.5 as his over under. I like that one as well. Tim took Kansas City, Arizona under 8.5. And Sam took Carolina, New York Rangers first period under 1.5. And Brian is taking LAA and Texas over 8.5. Toller, is there a total you like tonight?
Calgary first period under 1.5 burnt me last game, so I'm not even going to touch that game. First totals, I'm going to go Carolina full game under 5.5.
Under 5.5. All right. DJ, is there any total?
Yeah, I'll copy yours. I'm sticking with the over. I mean, I really do hate bet like I do think that, like, if you gave me like a full 10 game slate of action, it would be really tough to pick this one out and say, like, this is the easiest. Like, what a great line you're getting here. But of the 2 games, I think, you know, if you look at either side, I could talk myself into this over, because statistically it's actually showing up every night, and every night the expected goals are saying it. So as long as the goaltending doesn't really show up, and there's no Igor, there's no Vasilevsky here. Sorry, I get like a flashback to a nightmare of last night thinking about him, so I almost had to pause. Mike Smith and Markstrom both being bad sounds right.
All right. Best bets, best parlay pieces. For me, I'm going to baseball for my best bet. I'm taking the Dodgers money line parlayed with the Minnesota Twins money line for plus 106. Best parlay piece, I'm going to take the Rangers plus 1.5. Nick is taking the Milwaukee Brewers run line as his best bet. Milwaukee Brewers money line as his parlay piece. Tim's taking the Boston Red Sox run line as his best bet. Miami plus 2.5 as his parlay piece. Brian's taking the Mets money line as his best bet. Dodgers money line as his parlay piece. Sam is taking Dallas Mavericks money line as his best bet, and he's taking the Rangers plus 1.5 as his parlay piece. And occupancy is going a little bit ballsy here with the Washington Nationals fading the Dodgers plus 180, and Nationals plus 1.5 as his parlay piece. Toller, what are you thinking here for best bet, best parlay piece?
I think I need to talk to occupancy and see why he's fading the Dodgers tonight. I know Mookie Betts is taking a rest, but Jesus, that one shocked me, bro. I was going to use Dodgers as my freaking parlay piece because I didn't like anything in the NHL, but it's scaring me off now. Let's do your Minnesota Twins as my parlay piece. They should come out and popping, I would think, is what I've heard. Best bet, you already know what I'm going to rock. I'm rocking Canes to score first at minus 110.
Carolina to score first.
You know, Toller, I'm gonna put you on the spot then while you're saying that. I mean, what line do you like the most for the Canes? Because I really do think that, I mean, like you kind of said, it might be an under here in the game in general, but they have 2 kind of top lines. Both of them did pretty decent in last game, just didn't get the goals. So you're thinking they're going to score first. Is it going to be the Trocheck line or the Aho line?
Well, I mean, some of the games, it's taking all the way to the second period for it to happen. So we can go through all the lines a couple times before somebody scores. It just depends on what Igor's doing.
I mean, you got Aho minus 140 for a point, Teravainen minus 110 for a point, Trocheck plus 115. All these guys top power play. I mean, Jarvis is kind of my boy, plus 115. It just feels like there's like quite a bit of an easy avenue to talk yourself into one of the top power play guys to get a single point. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now for the Hurricanes. It's like, which one of those guys do you like the most? I mean,
Aho's a freaking nature, man. If
I
he's
know.
on his, that boy's got some skills on his stick.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
It's tough, right? I know it's hard.
So
I know.
tough because it's been such an under series. It's so hard to come by to get points right now.
I mean, last game they were 4.6 expected goals for the Hurricanes. They had one. It was.
Then don't bet them, Jax.
It's so tough. It's so tough. Yeah.
My main reason for him to score first tonight is kind of the narrative of me thinking they need the score first to set the pace for this game if they want to steal the road win. They need to come out quick, and they need that first goal. Kind of like Nashville in Game 4. If we wanted any chance of stealing the game, we had to score first. That game we didn't, obviously, and we lost. I think it's just the importance of that first goal on the road is why I'm going to take it. And it's done. I went 6-1 with it for the first series, so in that department, I'm still up a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go. DJ, what do you think here for best bet and best parlay piece?
Yeah, I think honestly, I really do think that's the thing is I think these Carolina point bets are really pretty good because you're kind of just expecting. I mean, if you get 2 goals out of Carolina, 3 goals, and the odds of Aho, Teravainen, any of these guys not being involved is kind of to me pretty thin because these lines do get a metric ton of the run, especially offensively. The fact that Niederreiter scored the only goal last game from Stahl is, I think, a bit of an outlier. So you know what?
I'd say Aho.
Yeah,
I would say
Aho. I think Aho minus 140 is probably incredibly strong. That seems way better than I've seen it. So why not? I mean, he's definitely
because most players to get 1 point is like minus 220.
Yeah, a guy like Aho. That's what I'm thinking. So let's do Aho minus 140. That feels really good.
You got a point?
He contributes to so much of the play too.
Just for any point. That's what I'm saying. That just feels
that's
like
kind of
that just feels disrespectful. Yeah,
only because it's been such an under series, but that gives you value.
I know.
What do you think here for parlay piece?
Yeah, I mean it's probably. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of tough to think. I mean, I would just go with Jarvis over 1.5 minus 200 because he is one of the best rate shooters in the entire playoffs, and I think if you need a parlay piece, he just makes too much sense not to plug in. Even in a game like the last game where he didn't have a ton, he had 3.
All right. Jack says he'll lay off. He won't bet Canes to score first.
Just give me tonight, Jax. Just give me this night, Jax.
All right, and that is the show. Best luck to everybody tonight. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, smash the like button. We appreciate all the support. And we'll see you back tomorrow for another episode. Again, Wild with Terry and Friends. Best of luck tonight, guys. Have a good one.